In this lesson, we're going to look at buyer behaviour. Buyer behaviour has a number of different facets, and we're going to explore those over several morsels. To begin with, we're going to refer back to some previous lessons. And you'll remember from past lessons that we talked about stakeholders. But the important stakeholders are, of course, the organisation and the customer. And in what we're going to look at in today's lesson, we're going to focus on the customer. Previously, we've referred to markets. Remember, markets are made up of customers, and the size of the market is determined by the number of customers we have. Through understanding buyer behaviour, we're going to understand this individual customer in much more detail. Before we get into too much detail about how customers behave, we're just going to explore a little bit further about who customers can be. What we see here are a list of different buying roles: initiator, influencer, decider, buyer, user, and payer. These are all the different types of roles that might be performed when something is bought. Now, these roles could be performed by one person, they could be performed by 6 different people, or any combination in between. Let's pick some simple ones to begin with. The payer, the person whose money is actually being spent. Now, that might not be the same person as the person who uses the product. If a parent buys their child a bicycle for Christmas, the parent has paid for it, or maybe the grandparents paid for it, and maybe the parents were the ones who decided what model bicycle to get. The user is going to be the child riding the bicycle, or perhaps a very agile adult. And in other examples, we can think of things like the influencer role. So who is it that has influence over the ultimate thing that is purchased? Maybe it's a group of you going out to the movies, and different people influence the decision as to what movie you go to, or maybe what restaurant you go to for dinner. Again, we could see this in terms of who does the family shopping, and there will be a person, the buyer, who is the person that actually goes to the store. They'll work off a list that, with the help of other people in the household, they've put together, in which case those people act as influencers. The person in the actual shop makes the decision about what to put in the trolley. They might have a preferred brand. So on the list it might say Vegemite, but they get to the shop and Marmite is on sale, and so that's what they put in the trolley. The other one that we haven't mentioned yet is initiator. Who is it that first recognises the need? And again, these roles could overlap. Who is it that goes to the cupboard and says, hey, we're out of cereal, we need to go shopping? So remember, each of these different people behave slightly differently. They want different things from the products. They could be different individuals, or they could all be the same person. For the rest of this lesson, we're just going to talk about buyer, but we want you to remember that it could be any one of these roles that we're discussing. So, the model of buyer behaviour that we're going to look at, our bubble diagram. In the centre, we have something called the decision-making process, and you'll see a morsel about that. The environment you've already covered in previous lessons, and that does influence how people decide to purchase products. Marketing stimuli we're going to cover in other lessons. The other morsels that you'll have in this lesson include internal influences, situational influences, and external influences. So that's our model of buyer behaviour. And as you go into more detail during each of the morsels, you see how all of these things relate together.